Boys and girls, as you're coming on, if you want to grab a hat to wear during the book tonight, that might be fun. You don't have to, but the book I'm reading is called Caps for Sale, and the character in my story wears lots of caps or hats. And while I'm reading, I'm actually going to put on a hat. So if you want to join me, you can. If you don't want to join me because you're already cozy in bed, no problem. Oh, I see somebody has a hat on already.
And we've just got a few more people coming on, so we want to make sure everybody gets in.
Boys and girls who are joining, good evening. I'm going to be reading Caps for Sale, and just for something fun, if you want to join me, you don't have to. I'm reading the story Caps for Sale, and in the story, the main character has a lot of caps or hats on his head. I'll be putting a cap on my head. If you want to join me by wearing a cap on your head, feel free to go and get a hat. If you're already nice and cozy on your bed or on your couch, don't worry about it. Stay cozy. Wow, I have some creative hats out there.
I'm going to take a look too. It looks like we are good. Nobody's waiting to get in, so I'll turn it over to you. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and thanks to all the boys and girls who joined us tonight.
Yes, hello Griffins. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I'm going to say it one more time in case I missed everyone. If you want to grab a hat to wear during our story, you can. The story I'm going to read tonight is Caps for Sale. And in the story, the character wears a lot of caps or hats on his head. So I'll give you about 30 seconds if you want to grab one, and then I'll introduce myself and we'll get started. About 10 more seconds. Okay, welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mrs. Tyndall, and I'm one of the math teachers at Middletown Village. Hi everyone. Tonight I'm going to read a story, Caps for Sale. And this story has actually been around for a long time. So many of you may have heard it before. Some of your parents may have heard it before. But what I really love about this book is there's a lot of math ideas in it. While I'm reading, you might hear the character talking about money, or you might see a pattern that he's creating with his hats, or you might see hats in equal groups. You might start counting all the hats. So I wanted to choose a book that talked about math because that is my passion. So tonight we'll read Caps for Sale. The author of the book is Fider Slobodkina. Caps for Sale. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler, carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had on his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight, so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he, and he walked out of town, slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. That's a nice place for a rest, thought he. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. A lot of caps. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. Take a look at the picture. Do you notice anything about his caps? But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? I wonder what he saw up there. On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. Those silly monkeys. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. You monkeys, you, he said, shaking a finger at them. You give me back my caps. But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, this made the peddler angry. So he shook both hands at them and said, you monkeys, you give me back my caps. But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and he said, you monkeys, you better give me back my caps. But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, he must be getting angry now. By the time the peddler was really very, very angry, he stamped both his feet and shouted, you monkeys, you must give me back my caps. But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, at last he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off his cap, and all the gray caps and all the brown caps and all the blue caps and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end. Caps for sale. I hope you enjoyed the stories, Griffins. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Give me a thumbs up if you like this story. Yeah, I did too. And thanks so many of you who got caps to wear with us for our story. It was so great reading with you tonight. I hope you have a great rest of the night and have a happy Friday tomorrow.
Thank you, Mrs. Tyndall.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Good night, everybody.
Good